Showtime yesterday announced that the hotly anticipated welterweight unification fight between Keith One-Time Thurman and Danny Swift Garcia will take place on March 4th, 2017. And similar to the super middleweight unification between Badu Jack and James DeGale, the fight will air live either on primetime CBS or on Showtime in the United States. I'm not yet sure which channel in the UK, for those people watching intended to watch in the UK, what channel it will be on there. We'll find out in the coming weeks or perhaps months. As far as the fight itself, I think the momentum at the moment is with Keith Thurman. He's coming off a terrific fight against Sean Porter. And I guess a lot of people will say that that fight will stand him in good stead against Danny Garcia because he's been at a high competition level, whereas Danny Garcia hasn't been fighting competition as difficult as Keith Thurman has been fighting recently, at least. I think also a lot of people will be looking at the fact that Keith Thurman is a career-long welterweight, whereas Danny Garcia is coming up from the weight below. People are going to believe, or at least perceive, that Keith Thurman is the harder puncher of the two, maybe even the stronger of the two. Certainly, Robert Guerrero, a mutual opponent, said that Keith Thurman's jab was as hard as Danny Garcia's right hand. So, he really was impressed by Thurman's punching power, but he wasn't impressed at all by Danny Garcia's punching power. However, when he's talking about Danny Garcia's right hand, that's never been his best shot. His best shot has always been his left hook. So, you just have to bear that in mind. But still, this is going to be the perception of most people, that Thurman's on the roll, that he's a natural welterweight, that he hits harder, that he's more versatile in the ring, that he's quicker on his feet, quicker with his hands, and he's been fighting better competition. And therefore, I think the majority of people are going to be rolling with One-Time in this fight. But if you look at Danny Garcia's record and you have followed his career over the years, he does have a history of rising to the occasion and beating the odds at times. When he fought Amir Khan, not that many people expected Danny Garcia to win that fight. Now, there were some people who picked Danny Garcia, but they were in a minority. Most people were favoring Amir Khan heavily in the fight. I think I said in my pre-fight video for that fight that it was 50-50 because I had watched some Danny Garcia fights and I was quite impressed by his counter-punching ability, particularly with the left hook. I remember speaking to Errol Jarrett online, and we were on the night of the fight, just a few hours before the fight, chopping it up. And we were saying, wow, Garcia's very, very quick with his counters. He's very sharp, with his counters. But he does get hit a lot. I think we were talking about the Ashley Theophane fight and the fact that he got caught constantly with right hands from Ashley Theophane. But yeah, we were impressed with his counter-punching ability. So I did give Danny Garcia a very good chance against Khan, but I didn't outright pick him. But most people, the majority, were picking Khan to win quite decisively against, Garcia. But Garcia pulled it out the bag. He knocked Khan out, famously. And in an even bigger rise to the occasion, if you will, Danny Garcia fought and beat up Lucas Matisse. Matisse was coming off a very convincing, devastating win over Lamont Peterson, knocking him out in a couple of rounds. Not that many people felt that Danny Garcia would win that fight. I think even less people thought Garcia would win that than the Amir Khan fight. So on those two occasions, he did rise to the occasion. Will he do that again against Keith Thurman? Well, he's going to need to because some of the performances that he's had over the past few years will not be good enough to beat the likes of One-Time. The performance that he put in against Herrera won't be good enough. The performance that he put in against Lamont Peterson won't be good enough. The performance that he put in against Robert Guerrero was okay, but would it be good enough to beat One-Time? I think some people might argue that Danny Garcia was getting a bit stale at 140 pounds. Maybe he was struggling to make the weight a little bit. Some people may say that that accounts for his lackluster performance against Herrera at least. But as far as the Lamont Peterson fight, I believe that fight was a catch weight, if memory serves me correct. So was he still struggling even at the catch weight? Is that why his performance against Lamont Peterson was not particularly impressive? You let me know what you think in the comment section below. But still, that performance right there against Peterson, that would not be enough to beat Keith Thurman, in my opinion. Thurman has been fighting, at least in his last fight, higher level opposition than Danny Garcia has of late. So that should stand him in good stead. I mean, it's not as if he's going to be worn out from that particular fight, even though it was a brutal fight and a fantastic fight that Keith Thurman had against Sean Porter. He will have had plenty of time out in the ring to recover from it by the time he fights Danny Garcia on March 4th. So, yeah, it's all poised for a very interesting clash. Keith Thurman has shown some vulnerability, it has to be said. He was hurt to the body by Luis Collazo, and he was also hurt to the body against Sean Porter. So that's something that Danny Garcia is probably going to have a look at and try and target that body. Maybe he'll try and go with jabs to the body. The only thing is that when Sean Porter and Luis Collazo managed to catch Keith Thurman to the body, it's when they were right on top of him, if memory serves me correct. They were literally right on top of him. I think they had him bullied up to the ropes, and then they threw the body shot. And the reason why that might be significant is because of the fact that they didn't give Keith Thurman space to counter when they threw those body shots. Whereas Danny Garcia's never been a pressure fighter. I've never seen him fight an out-and-out pressure fight and smother somebody like that. I've never seen it. It doesn't mean he can't do it, but I've personally never seen it. So when he throws his body shots, he's going to have to be careful. If he's throwing them body shots at mid-range or jabbing to the body at long range, he's going to have to be very careful that Keith Thurman don't catch him over the top with shots. Now, we know that Danny Garcia can take a punch. We've seen it many times. But this is at welterweight. And perhaps, you know, Keith Thurman might be able to hurt him, drop him, possibly stop him. I've only seen Danny Garcia noticeably hurt once in a fight, from what I can remember. And that was in the Zab Judah fight. Zab Judah caught him with a left hand or maybe a couple of left hands late in that fight. And to me, he looked noticeably hurt. Now, he held it down. Don't get it twisted. He wasn't wobbling around like Amir Khan, but he did look a bit unsteady on his legs for a few seconds to me, you know, maybe for 5, 6, 10 seconds. So if Zab Judah is able to do that, Keith Thurman, I guess most people would assume, hits a lot harder than Zab Judah. What happens when he cracks Danny Garcia on the chin? Can Danny Garcia outbox Keith Thurman? If he's not going to get on top of him like a Sean Porter, will he be able to outbox him and use that very good left hook counter that he does have to win the fight? Both guys are going to be similar in height, I think similar in reach. So when it comes to the boxing side of things, maybe Garcia will be able to box with him. But I know a lot of people are going to like Keith Thurman's lateral movement. They're going to say, well, his foot speed is a lot faster than Danny Garcia, and he should be able to move around and land his shots and win the strategic battle at long range. So, yeah, anyway, I'm just thinking out loud here, people. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Who's going to win this fight? Who are you leaning towards? Personally, I am, like the majority of you probably are, leaning towards Keith Thurman because he's the more versatile guy and he's been fighting at a higher level, at least recently, and he's the natural welterweight. So I'm going to go with Keith Thurman at the moment. I might change my mind in the upcoming weeks and months. We'll see. Let me know who you're going with in the comment section below. It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.